Good morning, everyone. ഞായറാഴ്ച രാവിലത്തെ ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും സ്വാഗതം. ഇന്നത്തെ സബ്ജക്റ്റ്, I think one of the very important subject, a very important topic for all of us. And പലർക്കും ചിലർക്ക് ചില കാര്യങ്ങൾ അറിയാമെങ്കിലും എല്ലാവർക്കും എല്ലാ കാര്യങ്ങളും ശരിയായിട്ട് നാഷണൽ ട്രസ്റ്റ് ആക്ടിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള കൺഫ്യൂഷൻ പല കാര്യങ്ങളും ഉണ്ട്. അപ്പൊ അതിന് വേണ്ടി ടു സ്പീക്ക് അബൌട്ട് ഓൺ ദാറ്റ് ടോപ്പിക്, നാഷണൽ ട്രസ്റ്റ് ആക്ടിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള നമ്മുടെ റൈറ്റ്സ്, പ്രിവിലേജസ്, പിന്നെ എന്തൊക്കെ ഫെസിലിറ്റീസ് ഉണ്ട്, എന്തൊക്കെ ബെനിഫിറ്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളതിനെ കുറിച്ച് to tell us clearly on this National Trust Act. I think we have the right person who will be talking to us is Major Sudhakar Pillai, and who is fondly known as Major Sir in Nischinda community. So Major Sir doesn't require any introduction, as he is associated with Nischinda right from beginning. And initially, Major Sir was the vice president of our executive committee, and currently vice president of our executive committee. So Major Sir is involved with Nischinda actively right from beginning. So, but still, I thought I will give some introduction on Major Sir's activities in this space. I think right from 1998, Major Sir is almost 22 years. Major Sir is active in this field of persons with disabilities space, and he started the first registered parent association in Palakkad in 1998. So since then, Major Sir is actively in in this field, and also Parivar Palakkad and Parivar Kerala is very active. And currently, Major Sir is executive committee member and general secretary of Parivar National, which is a very we all must be happy that one of our member is at that position at the national level in the Parivar National. And from 2014 to 2019, Major Sir was convener of local level committee Palakkad district, which is an empowered committee for many activities related to persons with disabilities in Palakkad district. And currently also, Major Sir holds a very important position. He is a member of Kerala State Advisory Committee as per the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. So today, I think we are going to hear from Major Sir on National Trust and its implications, its benefits, and what all we get from that, and what rights we have, our children have, more than us, what our children have from National Act. So let us hear from the right person on this topic. So welcome to everyone once again, and welcome to Major Sir to this session of our Nischinda webinar series. So welcome, sir. Alla sir unmute cheyanam.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, kekam.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all Nischinda family members, and also to Jai Vittal. I see Jai Vittal from the National Parivar in this group. And thank you so much, Raju, sir. You have given a broad perspective of my activities in this field for the last almost 20 years plus. In fact, when I left the service and came back from Army in 97, I decided to spend the rest of my life, my health, as well as my knowledge for the benefits of the people with the intellectual disabilities, because they lack. It is not they lack, it is their parents who lack. So I am dedicating my time maximum for such activities. Thank you so much for your kind introduction and nice words. Now, without wasting much of time, you are all members of my family. I will continue talking in English. I hope only very few may be having objection about the language. In any case, any doubt coming in between, you can ask. If you want to narrate in Malayalam, I will do it. But since there are so many people from outside Kerala and who cannot understand Malayalam, I will proceed in English itself. Am I all right, Rajiv sir? Rajiv sir, my what do you call
Perfect, perfect, audible, perfect.
Audible as well as speed. Should I go slow?
Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Because the listeners should know what I am talking. That is more important.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as Raju sir has mentioned, the National Trust Act. Let me get into the Act as well as the provisions of the Act straight away. That is very, very important for the parents of the persons with intellectual disabilities. When you want to understand this act properly, you should know the background of this particular act, how it has come and why it has come. This act came in 1999. That means 52 years after the independence. Till then, nobody bothered about these people. The first act in the field of disability came only in 1995. And that also is 48 years after the independence. So the people of our country did not bother to make a law for the person with the disabilities. And this 95 Act, that is known as PW Act of 1995, this came into existence because of not our own will and wish. It is by an external pressure, because 1995 was observed world over as the year of the handicap. And that was declared by the United Nations. We are a signatory of the United Nations. We are bound to go by their directives. So, as per the directives, there is supposed to be an act and specified rules for the welfare as well as equal opportunities of the person with disability. This Act of PWD Act of 1995 was approved on 1st of January 1996. Because it was on the last day of the year it was approved. So you can again imagine how much of importance this population of India is giving to these people. Now, when I say 1995 PWD Act, it had a lot of, faults, drawbacks. And that you can understand, because it was made on a very sudden requirement, and then all the provisions were not thought over, not discussed over, and it was passed in 1995. Now, the first and foremost drawback was that there was no legal provision to take action against anybody who doesn't follow or who doesn't act as per the PWD Act of 95. So that is a law without a teeth, without a nail. You cannot bite, you cannot scratch. Okay. So that was the basic fault. Second thing, this is covering only the 7 disabilities. And then most of them are physical disabilities. Now the physical disabilities which included was the orthopedically handicapped, hearing impaired, then the blind, leprosy cured, mental illness, mental retardation, and multiple disability. These are the 7 type of disability which was covered in PWD Act of 1995. Now, in this act, it was mentioned 3% of job will be reserved for the handicapped, 3% of admission to the colleges will be reserved for the handicapped. Now, this was distributed 1% each for the physically handicapped, 1 for the hearing impaired, 1 for the blind. Now, where do we stand? Where is the provision for mentally retarded? They cannot ask for themselves. They cannot get employed. So that means the physically challenger was given due consideration in the 1995 Act, whereas the intellectually challenged, so the person with the intellectual disabilities were not given any privileges or any rights. So that was the second biggest drawback. Now, coming into that, after this law has come into force, okay, before that, you will be curious about to know that when I say 1995 is the first act which came, and that too after, say, 47 years. I can tell you, there was an act which came up. This is only academic interest, not much of it. There is an act which came out before that. That was the RCI Act of 1991. It was for the disabled field organizations, not for the individuals. That was for institutions only. So the RCI Act came out in 1995, dealing with what are the facilities to be given, what are the training to be given, or whatever organization in this field, what are the controlling. So this act came up in 1991, just for academic interest. Even if I say another act was there, which was in 1987. That is known as Mental Health Act, MHA 87. And this was for the mentally ill persons. And this was not for the welfare of the mentally ill. It was only for the purpose of managing the property of the intellectually challenged, not intellectually ill. So this was, the benefit was only for the relatives and family members of the mentally ill people. When the first law, MHA Act of 1987 came, 91 came for institutions, and 95 only it came for the individuals. Now let me tell you, after the PWD Act of 95 coming into force, that is the time the parents organization for the like Padivar or various parents organization in Karnataka, KPMRC, and in Kerala we got a special children council in Kerala. So we all go together and saying that yeah, this this PWD Act which came up, it is not giving anything for the benefit of the intellectually challenged. So we kept on giving representations at various levels, and sometime in 97 and 98, it was decided to have another act being formed for exclusively for the intellectually challenged people. So when this meeting was held at various places like Bangalore, it was held in Hyderabad, Bombay, and Eastern part Calcutta, and all the parents were asked, what do you want? When in a forum, or if I ask you, all of the parents here, if I ask you what do you want, now you may have a single answer, but at time 97 or 98, they didn't have a correct answer. They were worried. My son's requirement is entirely different from the requirement of Rajiv, Archana's requirement, or it may be entirely different from another child. So each child is independent, and each child is its own requirements. So no parents could give a clear-cut requirement what is required, but only in one thing they were united. In that one thing was, what after us? What will happen to these children after the parents are no more? So some of the parents said that we keep praying that this child should pass away even before the parents pass away. This was the state. So they realized, the people who are carrying out a study realized that this is the problem which should be addressed. This is the problem, because when we are living, we will take care of this child more than anybody else. We are so much concerned. Rather, I will tell you, we are over concerned. Not the word, underline the word, over concerned. We should bring it down to concern, and then we should make them independent to live in the society. So this attitude of the parents, requirement of the parents was felt. So the National Trust Act was come up into effect in 1999. Now I'll share the screen. You can all see the fine, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So with this introduction, I will get over with the presentation, and we'll go to the next slide. Okay, now the national, I can just read it out. National Trust Act is for the welfare of persons with intellectual disabilities. It includes the following categories of disabilities. That is only 4 types. One is the mental retardation. Now this mental retardation is referred in various documents as PWIDD, personnel with intellectual and developmental disability. Okay, this is the terminology which is being used after the RPWD Act of 2016 coming into force. So after the it is autism, no explanation required, cerebral palsy, and multiple disability. In multiple disability, you don't understand the word meaning. It is not literal meaning which has to be understood. If any person has got 2 disability, will not become multiple disability. To fall in the category of multiple disability under the National Trust Act, the person has to be both deaf as well as blind, not dumb, deaf and blind. This is the only category of people who will come in the multiple disability to be considered under the National Trust Act. Okay, so now there are other things, cerebral palsy. I'll come up and talk about it at a later stage. Now I'm not going to do much about it. Okay, next slide. This is the organizational chart. No, at what level this is functioning. Okay, I want more time for the proper functioning of things. Hello. Okay, at the national level, we are supposed to have a chairman or the CEO of the National Trust. He will be a personnel from an NGO. But for the last almost 7 years, there is no chairman posted, and an additional task is given to the, say presently it is the Chief Disability Commissioner officially. So literally the work is done by an IAS officer at the rank of a joint secretary. Now there are representatives of NGOs and ex-officio members. There are total 23 members in the executive committee of the National Trust, out of which 13 are from various NGOs, and they are elected every 3 years. And any member organization, let me put it, any member organization who is registered with the National Trust can field a candidate for this EC membership. Now, in the EC membership of these 13 NGOs, they are given separate seat for the blind, separate for the hearing impaired, separate for the orthopedic, and all types of people are represented, differently able. Also, the organizations in this field. Now, coming to the ex-officio members, they are all the heads of the departments, various departments like the education, about the social welfare at the national level. So there are 23 members, and it is binding on them at least to meet once in 3 months. Okay, that much only, not much of important to us. Now come to the state level. At state level, actually at the time of formation of the National Trust, there was nobody. Okay, from the National Trust level, it was directly to the district level. But now, after functioning for about, say, 99 to 2000, now about 20 years, we have realized there is a lacuna in this. So from 2015 onwards, there is another appointment which was called as the State Nodal Agency Coordinator. This was there initially, but it was not effective. So this has become more effective right from 2014 onwards. It is known as a SNAC, again representing an NGO, which is there in each state. But in larger states like Madhya Pradesh or even Maharashtra, if there are more than 100 NGOs there, so then they normally used to appoint the 2 national coordinators, sorry, state level coordinators also. Now, right from 2017 onwards, the state government also started functioning very, we can say, especially I'm talking about Kerala. In Kerala, state government has started taking a lot of interest in this state. So, the Social Justice Department of the state of Kerala has come into field. They are taking a lot of initiative, giving a lot of support. So at state level in Kerala, the state social justice department is there. In other states, I'm not very correct to say. Now let us come to the district level, and that is the most important level, and that is the level at which each parent is going to interact with this act. So at the district level, there is a committee known as local level committee. Local level committee. Now, in this local level committee, the chairman is the district collector himself. There will be a convener. Convener is an NGO representative. NGO is not any NGO, an NGO which is registered with the National Trust. So that NGO is given up the task of coordinating the activities of the National Trust at the district. So one member from that organization will be the convener. And there will be another member known as a PWD member, a person with a disability member. So mostly a person with a physical disability is given in as a member of the PWD because they are also supposed to be part of the group while decisions are taken. Basically, let me put it up, a disabled person only can understand the feelings of another disabled person. We may be parents, but we will not be able to, we can imagine or will not be able to feel what the other man, a disabled person, what all he has gone through. Maybe that may be in the field of physical disability, not maybe the intellectual, but that is, so a person with a disability is there in the committee in all the districts. Now, the district social justice officer is one of the members, and the heads of all the departments, starting from the law, police, the education, panchayat, then the registrar, medical. These all people, the heads of the district, they are all members of the local level committee. There are totally 11 members, and mostly in the sitting, they are supposed to conduct at least one sitting in 3 months. But in Palghat, we have been doing it at least one in a month. So these members normally attend and hear to the problems of the person with the intellectual disability or the problems of the parents. Okay, let me go to the next slide. This is just to give you an idea. Again, what I explained: chairman, district collector, convener, NGO member, members, PWD member, and legal member, ex officio, district secretary of the district legal service authority, district social justice officer, district medical officer, police chief, registrar, superintendent of the hospital. Okay, this is the, I don't require any more of this thing. Now, what is the role of local level committee? The local level committee has got the following role. Firstly, appointment of legal guardian, which includes control of the property of the person with intellectual disability. Thirdly, ensuring the welfare activities of the PWIDs, protecting the interests of the PWD. This is the basic role. Okay, now let me come to the most important aspect of this particular act. When I say most important, others are also important, but this requires a little more explanation as well as a lot of doubts in the mind of the parents. Now, why? Why legal guardian should be appointed? Actually, till 2013, I myself having a misconception that I am the parent, I am the guardian. Why a legal guardian is required? I will look after my children as long as I live. Legal guardian is required only after when I am no more. I think most of the parents have the same feeling. Even I had this thing till 2013. Then came the constitutional requirement. As per the constitution of our country, any person up to the age of 18 is a minor, and above 18 is a major. Not a major like me, okay? So he becomes independent, he can take decisions, he can enter into contracts, he can take loan from bank, open account, he can do anything. So he is a fully citizen of the country after 18 years. Below 18 years, he is a minor, he or she, the responsibility lies with the parents. So this parent is known as the natural parent. So we are natural parents responsible for the children till 17 years of age. At the age of 18, as per the law, he is independent, he is a full citizen of the country, he can do all the transactional activities and contract everything. Now my next question comes, capability. Is your child, son or daughter, after 18 years, able to take these decisions, execute it? I think your answer is no. They require support. So, there's a constitutional requirement after the age of 18 for a person with intellectual developmental disability to appoint a guardian who is legally appointed guardian to take a decision in legal matters. Now, what are the legal matters? Maybe sale of a property, maybe opening account, transaction of accounts, opening of FDs, these kind of activities where the legal requirement is there, signing is required. So, on behalf of the intellectually challenged, the legal guardian is signing it. Okay, so I hope I am very clear why this is the requirement for a legal guardian. What is our myth? What we are misconception we have got, the constitutional requirement, and the limited capability of our children. Taking into all these considerations is coming. I'll explain more subsequently. All got a doubt again that when I'm appointing a legal guardian, it should be someone who is going to live beyond me. Okay, that kind of feeling not required. So far as you are alive, so far parents are alive, they are the legal guardians. So the natural parents automatically become legal guardian, but it has to be formally appointed by the local level committee headed by the collector. So there has to be documentation. So this documentation has to be done. The parents, if they are alive, they will definitely be made the legal guardian. But there are cases like a parent who is very aged, he is not in a position to move around, maybe may have lost the memory, or a parent who is totally, I can say, uneducated, doesn't know what is the present conditions, or a parent who has got a ill health because of some problems, stroke or something like that. Even if the parents are alive and the parents feel that the elder brother, younger brother, or brother-in-law is the right person to be legal guardian, we can make them. So this decision, who is the legal guardian, will be taken basically by the parents if they are alive. If not the parents, the siblings. Now this not be a unilateral decision. This has to be explained in front of the collector, in front of the committee. The committee, 78 members will be sitting. You have to tell them, okay, I am going to appoint my sister, my daughter. When I talk about myself or my son, my daughter is the legal guardian. There are certain reasons for that. So I go to tell them because my son has to get pension after me and after my wife passes away. And that time, who is going to get it? It may be my daughter. So my daughter has to be given all the details. So many things I have to tie up. So each parent among us have to decide who should be the legal guardian and at what stage. One more point you can keep in your mind that if a legal guardian is appointed, say in 2020, if you want to make a change in 2022, you can do it. There is no bar that you can apply again and you can get it changed. Okay, so that problem is not that you can change it. So preferably the parents should be the legal guardians. Now it can be siblings. If the siblings, there are many cases where the siblings are there, they are working in USA. So what is the point in making my local legal guardian here? So instead of siblings, it may be a brother-in-law who is in situation, in location available. A brother-in-law may be made, or may be an uncle, or he may be a father's younger brother. So such parents, depending on the family cordial relationship, it can be done. That much about who can be the legal guardian. Then I already explained about when above 18 years, below 18 years. This is a point of controversy. If you are sure that you are going to live till the time the child is 18 years, you need not apply for legal guardianship now. But who is sure? Okay, so even the legal local level committee also considers the applications only above 18 years. Below 18 years will be considered, provided there is a particular reason for that. Suppose father expect, father has got some property and father has got a lot of debt in business, some property has to be disposed of so that the debt can be cleared. So at the time of disposal of the property, the registrar will ask, is this property inherited to any person with intellectual disability? If you say yes, in that case, the permission of the district collector has to be obtained before the transaction takes place. So the permission of the collector has to be obtained. What happens? You go to get the legal guardian appointed and who will sign on his behalf. So that means if there's a requirement, legal requirement, even below the age of 18 also, this application can be given and a legal guardian can be appointed. Okay, certain doubts you may have, I am sure, and what I see and what you are experiencing and what I have gone through is a difference. So we'll keep this questions towards the end session for discussion. I will give ample time for that. Now, next thing will be the procedure to apply. Firstly, all of you are from different districts. My first point is that you are to apply to the local level committee of your district. If you are staying in, say, Trichur, you have to apply in Trichur. If you are staying in Bangalore, you have to apply in Bangalore. Okay. So it is not that you can all come and apply in another place of your convenience. Where your property is there, where you are living, because a lot of data has to be collected about the child as well as the parents, as well as the family and the parental property. So it has to be, application has to be given wherever the property is, wherever the individual is staying. That is one. Second thing, how to apply. In a plain paper, there is no proper formal application. First, application has to go in a plain paper to the concerned district, and it should have the disability certificate. Without disability certificate, no application will be at a time, because that is the document which is going to say that this individual comes under the purview of this particular act. 1 second, let me take a break. So it has to be given in a plain paper with the disability certificate. The application should have the address properly written with a landmark to reach and the telephone number clearly shown. This is to enable home visit, also to carry out inquiry, and also to collect the data. So that means this detail has to be given when the application is given. Okay. Once this application is received in the collector's office, it is handed over to the coordinator. Now we have got a convener of the local level committee who is the NGO member. He will get the application. He will go to the residence of the particular PWIDD along with 1 or 2 members of the committee. They will carry out the information. They will collect the information from the neighborhood, from the relatives, and also from you yourself, and also from the village officers. So once the data is collected, this all data is put up in a file to the district collector, and the family of the PWD is called for a hearing in collector's chamber. It is like a court proceeding. It is a court itself. So the chairman will listen to the, rather the convener will explain the details and the findings and the inquiry details. The individual will give out what is the requirement of this legal guardianship certificate and who wants to be or who will be the legal guardian. These things will be given. After the hearing, the collector will write in his own hand that, okay, so and so will be the guardian, and there is a provision to appoint a co-guardian also. A co-guardian means a second person, that's all. That much only. A co-guardian will not become a guardian in the absence of a guardian. For that one, a separate application has to be given and then it has to be appointed. But then for the provisions, a temporary requirement, a co-guardian, also sharing of the care of the individual, a co-guardian is appointed. Once this data is, this proceeding is over, the complete data is uploaded to the National Trust Board at Delhi through the computer, through the internet. And then it is processed at Delhi itself at the National Trust head office. Once it is, everything is online. After it is processed, the legal guardianship certificate is initiated there. After it is initiated, we have to download the guardian certificate from the system, take it to the collector, take his signature, put his stamp, seal, and then hand over to the individual. So this is the procedure which is followed in the appointment of legal guardian. Okay. Now, before I go further, you should understand that this Act, National Trust Act 1919, has got 2 phases, like 2 sides of a coin. One is the legal aspect, and second is the welfare aspect. Now, what I covered is the legal aspect. I'll give you a little more details regarding the legal aspect because it is very important. When we carry out the home visit, we'll ask the family to give the details of the property. And these details, that is the survey number, extent of land, and which panchayat, which sala type of land, all everything will go into the National Trust data. Now, let me tell you, we must have read in papers or we must have come across previous generation. There are people, so many people who are intellectually challenged are not being cared for. They are sent to some kind of a care home. They are taken care of or they visit for 3 to 4 times, then they don't go at all. So they are written off. Their family is not bothered. They don't go and visit them, give them their requirements. Those things happen. And also there are so many cases after the father and mother expires, the siblings will fight for the property share. And they want the property, they don't want this intellectually challenged person. I had gone to a house in Palghat. The individual, 3 brothers, father expired. So we were welcome to the elder brother's house, a double-story building, posh AC, plush curtains and all. We are made to sit there. And we were asking, okay, about Udaira. Now they give all the information. He is the younger brother and he is there. So we asked him, we want to see him. So immediately the chap was brought in wearing a pajama and a t-shirt. And when he entered the room, he was giving a surprise look as if he is coming to this room first time. That's what our feeling was. So when he was asked to sit down, he was not even ready to sit down. So that means I can make out that this individual was not frequenting this room, the drawing room. They were not giving him any care. So first question we asked was, where does he live? So he is there in the parental house. He is in one room there. So we want to go to the room. This is not required, sir. Then no, we want to go. So the second brother was staying in the parental house. It's an old house. And in the old house, this third brother who is intellectually challenged is in the backyard in a room. We went to the room. So it was a dark room. We told them it was morning 11 o'clock. We told them to put on the light. So he said, sir, light abhi fuse ho gaya. Then I looked up at the bulb holder. There is no bulb even. If it is fuse, it should be there. It is not there. Then I have to, where does he sleep? The brothers are not aware where he sleeps. There is no cot, there is no chair, there is nothing on the ground. The elder brother is there sleeping under a mosquito net. I asked him, where is the mosquito net for him? He doesn't say that mosquito bites me. So they want the intellectually challenged person to tell that the mosquito is troubling. So when we checked up, this younger brother has got 8 lakhs of rupees into the bank account. Father has put in that. So these brothers are getting the interest and utilizing it. Not even a penny is spent for this brother. And this brother was around 40. So we have to ensure that this room is well furnished, well lit. So we said we will make another visit within another 15 days. You do all of these things for them. So there are so many cases. In one of the rooms somewhere in Chunangad in Palakkad, we could not enter the room because it was stinking so badly. The individual had never come out, it seems. And probably the room is not even properly cleaned. So the very, very, very pathetic condition. So we parents think that the siblings will take care. I am sure siblings will take care. But my question is, how long? 20 years? 30 years? So by the time 30 years, siblings, children will grow up. They will say, I don't want this uncle in my home. He is not clean. He is dirty. My friends are making fun of me. So they will all want this uncle to be away from home. So that's why in Nischinta we all decided we don't want this to happen. So we formed this Nischinta. I'm also with the Nischinta because of this feeling, my experience. So my point is, when we are alive, please apply for the legal guardianship. Siblings are not going to misuse the property of this particular, you can say, intellectually challenged sibling. That we have to ensure. One more point, some parents have got a doubt. See, I have got this property, I made this, I have made a house here. If I give it to my intellectually challenged, somebody will take it away. I will give it to my son who is well off and he is educated. I will give my property to him. I said, yeah, you are doing the wrong thing. You are thinking it wrong. This property which you are earmarking for the intellectually child will not be taken away by anybody. This property after the demise of this intellectually challenged person will come back to the siblings with the equal share. Nobody is going to take anything extra. Government is not, some people have got a doubt. Okay, once all details are given, government will take away. So that also a misconception. That should not be there. Anyway, I am slightly coming lower in my talk. because this kind of details I give to the people in the villages, and you are all educated, you can understand. And I don't want, it's only some experiences which I am sharing. Okay, this much about the legal aspect. My request to all the parents are, this property details inherited by you or your wife, the share has to be given to the intellectually challenged. If a property is created by you out of your savings, out of your employment or your business, it is exclusively in your name, purchased by you, do whatever you want. You may not give it to him, but be very conscious about it, because you cannot be very sure how long you are going to live. And anybody who is very sure, okay, I will live for another 50 years and I will take care of the child till that time, of course. So this decision has to be taken very, very, very seriously, and then this action also has to be taken. Okay, now having said this much, let me go to the second part. How much timing? Am I overshooting the timing?
Not much.
I finish in another half an hour.
Yeah, please go ahead. No, it's a very important topic. Yeah, very, very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I come to the welfare aspects of it. First and foremost is the Niramaya insurance scheme. In fact, I'll just give the details and give the minor points later. Firstly, it is the coverage is up to 1 lakh for medical expenses every year. Okay, and unlike any other health insurance, in this the OPD treatment is covered. Therapy expenses is claimable. Reimbursement of regular medication can be given. OPD medicines, that is regular medicine, can be reimbursed. Also, can claim for the homeopathy, Ayurveda treatment also. So Unani also, I said they are ready to give, but they did not mention that it is not only Ayurveda, homeopathy, other what you call treatment also covered. Now the even transportation of the PWD for
Can't hear you.
treatment, the ambulance charges also is reimbursable, distributed or sub-allotted. Like for OPD treatment, 15,000. Therapy expenses, 10,000. Reimbursement of medical expenses, say another 25%. So transportation is limited to 1,000 only. Now, in case you undergo a major surgery or a major treatment, 40,000 is covered for that. That means it is 1 lakh, it is sub-distributed for various type of treatments. So that means ultimately everybody will get something, and nobody will get full 1 lakh. That is the condition. You should understand that. So if your expenses is for therapy, please claim it. If your expenses for OPD treatment, you will pay for that. OPD treatment means you have got a small problem, stomach ailment, go to hospital, they carried out X-ray, they carried out blood test. All those things are covered. Only thing you have to take a prescription and the report from the hospital and then claim it. Regular medicine, somebody is on say epileptic medicines being taken regularly, that also can be given. So that is the highlights, unlike any other insurance coverage. Now the bill processing, anyway, it will come subsequently. And the beneficiaries are all the categories that come under the National Trust Act without any age limit. There is no age limit, and also pre-medical examination not required. Only medical board certificate is required. That is the only thing required. Now, period is first year, that year is counted financial year, 1st April to 31st of March next year. Every year it has to be renewed. For renewal, you have to reapply again. Now, the premium payable, just note, premium payable is for above poverty line, ABL category, rupees 500, and 250 is the renewal fee. That is every year for renewing, you have to pay 250 rupees. And for the BPL category, it is for entry, first year you have to pay 250, subsequent years renew with paying rupees 50. Now, when I say this premium, this is what the National Trust is prescribed. But in Kerala, I told you from 2018 onward, we have become more interactive and more disable friendly. So this premium is paid by the government of Kerala, Department of Social Justice. So whatever number of applications are received in Kerala, and the complete premium is paid in lump sum by the government of Kerala. Even for the renewal also, new entry also, everything is done in Kerala. And it is not only done in Kerala, in other states like Madhya Pradesh is the one who started first. Madhya Pradesh is doing that, and Kerala started subsequently. And I am told now the Chhattisgarh also has started giving it free by the government, by the state. But the nearby district states like Tamil Nadu or Karnataka, they are not implemented it so far. That is only a gesture by the state government. Now, I put it notes, insurance fee is being paid by government of Kerala this year. Because this slide is slightly like earlier I saying. Not only this year, from 2017 onwards, it is paying and may continue to be for the forthcoming years also. Now, the agency for your processing of the claim, it is the Oriental Insurance. This is a tie-up by the National Trust with the Oriental Insurance, and part of the premium goes to them, and they make the payments. And also some grant is given by the National Trust to the company for making the payments. Now the claim processing, every state has got the TPA, Claim Processing Agency. In Kerala, it is at Cochin, and they are very interactive. Your claim once received, you get a message, and once start processing, you will get a message. Once the payment is made to the bank, you will get a message, and you can keep on asking for authorities also with their ID. They will give a number. That much about the Nirame insurance. It is everybody should take the insurance and ensure if you got claiming about it. As far as I am concerned, more than I claiming it or anything, I've been telling the people, poor peoples in the village area, nearby area, or various institutions that they should take it, because even a small penny coming to them will be a big relief for them. So ensure that even if you are not taking it for yourself, but at least take it for the people of your institution where you are heading, or people of your area where you are in touch with. Now, other schemes of the National Trust are very interesting. We should know, we should get into it. First is Disha. Disha is for early intervention, basically. Children below the age of 6, maybe, but they internally below 2 itself. Because at the early stage itself, they should be identified. After identifying, they should be given various types of therapies and guidance to the parents, so that they, by the time they are 6 to 7 years old, they are in a position to live in the society like any other child. So this is the aim, and Disha is one of the schemes. Now all these schemes which I mentioned in this particular slide can be run by the National Trust registered organization. Okay, any NGO cannot do it. So that NGO has to be registered with the National Trust. Now through the National Trust, the funding is given to the NGO, not to any individual in particular. Individual benefit come only in the case of Nirame. All other thing, it comes to the institution. So this is institutional. So Disha is early intervention. If there are 20 children in and around your area and you are registered with the National Trust, you can apply for this particular project. Then is Vikas. Vikas is again daycare for intellectually challenged, like Ashwas Bhavan, which we are running at Palagat. So here they give a consolidated amount for each child every month, so where the salary of the caretaker can be given. Now is the Samarth. Samarth is a scheme in which respite care residentially is given. It is not a permanent care. It is a respite. Suppose a family like got a child who is intellectually challenged, and this family, say father is sick, he has to get admitted. Mother has to take care of the father in the hospital. Who will take care of the child? So in case you don't have anyone close by, you can leave the child to the Samarth Center. Now this Samarth Center, nothing has come up in South at least. Now North, there are some people, they are trying out Samarth. It is not very popularly subscribed, because for short duration, it is difficult to maintain a child with the unknown people. So this is the program is there, but not very effective. Then comes the Garonda. Garonda is the group form. This is a very good scheme. It is Garonda means, you know what is the meaning of Garonda? It is a nest, bird nest is a Garonda. So it is for group homes in Maharashtra and all. I know there are so many NGOs who are getting the benefit of Garonda. In Kerala, not even a single NGO is getting it, because we don't have any group homes run by the NGO in Kerala so far. It is coming up. Nishinda has taken up an initiative. Probably at a later stage, we may be able to apply for the Garonda scheme once we are applied with and registered with the National Trust. So Garonda means for 20 people, and for each individual, an amount of rupees 10,000 per month is given by the National Trust for care. And also during construction, 20 lakhs is given for the construction of the group homes. So this kind of funding is there at Garonda, but for the last 2 years there was some shortfall of funds and all. So they said that instead of 10,000 we do only 5,000. So last year they paid for Garonda 5,000 only per individual. So that is Garonda scheme. Then comes health insurance, of course, we already discussed. Sahayogi. Sahayogi is actually a training program. See, like we have got home nurses in taking care of the elderly people. Same way, what the National Trust envisages is that there should be some caregivers for such people. So we train people with 8th class or 9th class or 10th grade. They come to the institution and they undergo a training how to take care of this particular children, an autistic child or maybe a mad child. Because the parents keep on growing older and then their health condition comes down. So ultimately a caregiver is required to attend to this people. So their caregiver training can be given. For that, the National Trust gives that. Then is the Gyan Prabha. Gyan Prabha is a very good scheme that is for educational support. It is something like scholarship. And especially the benefit is taken by the cerebral palsy people. Now, cerebral palsy people, I know a couple of them doing PhD, number of them doing their engineering, and then some of them into the medicine also. So, such people from this cerebral palsy field, they go to educational support is given in the form of scholarship, public fellowship. Now, the next one is Prerna. Prerna is again a very novel idea because most of these institutions, NGOs, they make some of the other small items making use of this intellectually challenged people. So they make say envelope, somebody makes basket, somebody makes carpets, somebody makes doormats, and all these things. You know, you have to have a marketing support. Because main problem which we face is these things are produced and we cannot go to the open market and compete with other people as well. The cost is considerable. So the National Trust mentioned, okay, if there is such products are available, we can permit one shop to be operating, say, for the whole district of Palghat, one shop in Palghat. So they'll give the room rent, they'll give the salary for 2 persons who are going to work there. So this particular place, you can bring all the items prepared by various special schools or special organizations. Item can be kept there, sold there, and then they return to the particular institution. So the running of this particular shop, expenses will be borne by the National Trust. This is not clear enough. Now the next one is Sambhav. Sambhav is again for the aids, various types of aids, assistive devices for the palsy people, some mobility items required, or some kind of research. Some people are going to do research in developing some aid for such people. That also is covered under Sambhav. This every year you can give the proposal and they normally carry out the payments. That is all varies. There is no fixed amount which is set, and then depending on the applications it is covered. Then another one is Badte Kadam. Badte Kadam means move forward. So this is for the purpose of awareness in the community reaction. Because there is places like interiors. Many people may not be aware about the provisions of the National Trust or what are legal aspects of that and what actions should be taken. These things are not known to the people in the villages. So we can carry out various community interaction programs, awareness programs, and then data collection. This whole thing can be done by under the National Trust, and they give 20,000 per session, but it is given only to the NGO which is registered with the National. This much about the trust schemes. I think I come to the end of this National Trust. Now, I would like controversies which are there with the RPWD Act, which has come up in 2016, and the National Trust Act 1990. Now, as I told you earlier, PWD Act 1995 has been repealed. It is no more in existence. there are so many shortfalls in the 1995 PWD Act. These shortfalls have been looked after. They have been rectified in the RPWD Act of 2016. Actually, the proposal, rather the draft of the Act was submitted as early as 2012, and subsequently it was passed in the Lok Sabha in 2014. And when it was going to the Rajya Sabha, there was a petition by various organizations which has gone. So it was kept for a subject committee for further study, and it got held up. And ultimately, in 2016, after the notification, the demonetization, there was nothing happening in the parliament. So they thought, why not to put across this particular bill, and this bill has become an act, RPWD Act of 2016. Now the highlights of 2016 RPWD Act is there are 22 types of disabilities which is covered, in which you find autism also is there. In earlier, autism word was not there. Okay, they have brought out other things like thalassemia, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's. These things also has come under the purview of the this PWD Act, RPWD Act. So what happened is, now the percentage of disabled person, earlier probably it was 3 to 5%, now it has gone to 7% almost. Okay, so it has increased. That is one. Second thing, what happened is this law, RPWD Act, it has got a legal provision of penalty. Okay, any offences committed can be punished under this act. So there is a special court supposed to be in the district level, and there has to be a prosecutor paid by the government of each government for taking the cases of the intellectually differently able. Let me put it differently. So this is another advantage. RPWD has brought in more number of disabilities. Firstly, secondly, it has brought in a court, and then it has given the specification what offense and what punishment, what offense and what punishment. If anybody is misusing the property, punishment can be given a fine of up to 5 lakhs or even an imprisonment up to 6 months. So these provisions are already common in the particular. Also, the percentage of employment from 3% it has gone to 4%. 4% means orthopedically handicapped 1%, one hearing impaired, one blind, and 1% for the intellectually challenged. So that means we are also now covered after the RPWD Act, employment of 1% as per this act. That is another thing. Also, for the further studies, for higher studies, from 3% quota, now they are increased to 5%. So 5% quota in professional colleges, in each courses have been now reserved for the disabled, differently able, and also intellectually challenged also is supposed to get quota in that way. That is another thing. And also they are given an age relaxation of 5 years for admission. And various other aspects are there in RPWD Act. But controversial thing which I want to bring out is in the RPWD Act, they have brought out something known as a limited guardianship. Now, limited guardianship is there in RPWD Act. So some people have a feeling that since the RPWD Act, which is the latest one, which came in 2016, has got a limited guardianship. Why should we go for the National Trust Act legal guardianship? You can fight, you can ask. There's no answer I can give you. But you are a parent, you are whenever is your own child. So you decide. The legal guardianship as per the National Trust Act is much better as per me and my understanding is concerned than the limited guardianship or limited guardianship given by the RPW. Now this limited guardianship is not only for intellectually challenged, it may be for the physically challenged also. Maybe, for example, a blind individual wants to construct a house, and during that period, the construction has to go on properly, and the design has to be properly on ground. So you can give the requirement to somebody, a limited partnership can be given that. So by saying that, okay, for the period from so and so year to so and so year, or till the time the house building is constructed, you are the so that you can do the signature. Something like we used to give in the banks and all sometimes power of attorney, but some little more than that power of attorney, responsibility can be given. So that is a limited guardianship is there in the RPW. No, another point which is conflicting is cerebral palsy. As per the RPWD Act, it comes under the orthopedic act. They consider it as a physical disability. Whereas as per the National Trust Act, cerebral palsy is an intellectual disability. So there's a controversy there. Again, we have asked for the clarification, we are putting it up. So to come under the National Trust Act, a cerebral palsy person should have intellectual disability also. Understand? If intellectually he is all right, he is a doctor or an engineer or a collector. I know a collector who is there in Haryana in the cerebral palsy. Okay. So in that case, there is no requirement of coming under the National Trust Act. So straight away he will be considered under the RPWD Act only. And also, whenever some applications come to us for legal guardianship of a cerebral palsy person who is well aware about what is happening, who can take decision, we always give a remark saying that he is capable of taking decision, legal guardianship. So that will be produced in front of any authority who is asking for it. That kind of thing. So these are just some points for pondering and for information. And I think I have taken the time which is given to me. Now we'll open for discussions. Raju sir.
Yeah. I think,
any questions?
You can stop sharing now, so that I think we can ask the question. We can open for questions.
Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
Yeah,
I'll stop sharing and then come back.
Can I ask the question, please?
Yeah.
Pillai sir.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I can ask the question. Yeah. Okay, I had actually put it in the chat box. I have already obtained the.
Oh, I not.
Yeah. I will.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I'll repeat the
ask.
question.
Please ask.
I'll repeat the question. I have already got the Niramaya ID card this year. And the renewal, when it comes,
Okay,
suppose when we are moving to the Nischinta next year, the renewal can be taken care by
Yes.
Nischinta, or I have to come back to Chennai to apply for it?
Not required, sir. It can be done anywhere in India. It is
Okay,
national. Okay, national level. So when you come to Nischinta, we at Palghat will do it for you.
Okay, and
No worry.
Nischinta
No
is
worry.
already, oh, very good. Nischinta is already registered with National Trust now?
Not yet, sir. Not yet, sir. We are yet to, sir. The point is, that is one point which I have been telling initially. To get any benefit,
Okay.
beneficiary has to be there in location at Nischinta. If any official comes to visit us, I cannot say Sadagopan sir is in Chennai. Please go and look on the or XY in Ernakulam. I cannot do that. So
Okay.
to get all the sanction, people come for visit. It is not only paper. So during the time of inspection, we have to be in location. So the beneficiaries have to relocate and come and start occupying the villas or like apartments in Nischinta. Even if 20 people come, we start up with the proceedings.
And similarly for the legal guardian, we have already
Yes, sir.
applied here and we have met the collector. We have done the interview and hopefully we will get the papers. Again, next
Right.
year it will be taken care by Nischinta, right? Suppose I want to change anything. Yes, right now as a legal guardian, I have put myself and my wife as
Right.
parents. So next year,
Okay.
suppose I want to put my daughter or something like that, it is still possible to do it there in Nischinta?
It is still possible, and if you are in Nischinta at Palghat, you can apply in Palghat itself. You need not to
Excellent.
go back to Chennai.
Very good,
So
sir.
this is a
And
national level data bank.
okay. Third and last question. Niramaya claim. Normally, what is the procedure? That claim form has to be filled up and sent. That's all. That's it.
Exactly. There's a claim form given by the Oriental Insurance. You have
Yeah.
to fill up that claim form. Okay. And then the basic requirements is a copy of the Niramaya health card has to be kept.
Okay.
Details of treatment. Or the prescription of the doctor with his own signature has to be there in original.
Okay.
Bills have to be original. Bills have to be original. In case some investigation has been carried out, the result of that one, maybe blood test or maybe any scanning, that also has to be given.
Okay, sir.
Okay, these are the things. Also, one thing you should understand is the claim should reach them within 1 month, but I normally don't say 1 month, within 15 days. Okay,
Oh my God.
because
Okay.
people tend to delay it. So it has to reach
Yeah, I
them
have
within
delayed
15
it. That
days.
means I am not applying.
I normally don't declare to anybody 1 month. I said 15 days.
Okay, next time only I'll have to take care. Okay, all right.
Right.
സാറേ ഒരു സംശയമുണ്ട്.
പറയൂ sir.
ഈ ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയനായിട്ട് നിശ്ചിന്ത സൊസൈറ്റിയെ അപ്പോയിന്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുമോ? ഞാൻ രാഘവനാണ്.
രാഘവൻ sir, valid question. I am happy that you asked this question. നിങ്ങൾ ചോദിച്ചത് വളരെ നന്നായി. ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ തന്നെ മറുപടി പറയാം. ഓക്കെ, അത് ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതിയോ?
പറയൂ സാർ.
സർ, അതിന് പ്രോബ്ലം ഒന്നുമില്ല സർ. അതിന് പ്രോബ്ലം ഒന്നുമില്ല. ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയനായിട്ട് ആരെ നിയമിക്കണം? ഒരു സൊസൈറ്റിയെ നിശ്ചയിക്കാം. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദെയർ ഇൻ ദ പ്രൊവിഷൻ ഓഫ് ദി ആക്ട്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പം നമുക്ക് നിശ്ചിന്തയെ ആക്കണമെന്നൊരു നിശ്ചിന്തയിലെ ആക്കണമെന്ന് നിർബന്ധമില്ല. Nobody is going to insist for that. But you feel that, okay, I want to give it to the society, the legal guardianship. And then society means what? It is the management of the society, managing committee. Okay. They will be taking a decision in the committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, sir?
Yeah. Tell me, Jyoti.
Annapurna. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Sir, actually, we were told that monthly, in case of you need kind of therapy or something, it can be claimed in Niramaya, or yes. So because children might be having occupational therapy and even not even those can be claimed, right?
Yes, it is. Even speech therapy, physiotherapy, or behavioral therapy. Only thing, you got to have firstly prescription has to be there.
Okay, the prescription.
Prescription has to be there. The one doctor, a neurologist, or somebody says that okay, this child has to undergo so training for a period of 6 months or 1 year. Okay, that is the prescription. Second thing, you take the child to the therapist, and what I suggest is you take the bill for 3 months together.
Okay.
One bill. Otherwise, then every month you will keep on claiming. So what you do is for the month of January, February, March, put together, and then whoever is the therapist, put his signature and then his number. Okay, put his seal and then give you a bill. So he gives a consolidated bill for 3 months for the therapy, and then you make a claim for that.
Okay. So how much maximum? How much will you get? 25.
Sir, maximum 15,000 in a year.
15,000 in a year. Okay.
15,000 in a year.
Okay, thank you, sir.
In a year, yes.
Yes, Mr. Ramanath.
Welcome.
Phone.
അത് മ്യൂട്ട് ആണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു.
അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡോക്ടർ ജയശ്രീ or Mr. Dileepan sir questions. I think you said in chat you have put.
Yes, there is a question.
Sir, is there any ceiling on reimbursement of the medicinal values for lifetime medicine?
Yes. For the OPD treatment also there is a ceiling.
Okay.
It is presently 10,000 for the medicines.
This is raised recently.
And also for the homeopathy treatment or the Ayurveda, it is 5,000. I told you, they have subdivided the complete 1 lakh into various heads.
Okay. I'm getting only 8%.
Okay.
For a lifetime medicine therapy.
Yeah, that even you can buy for 3 months at a time, and keep on buying for bills you can pay.
That's what I'm getting now.
Okay.
Then regarding this guardianship, after our life, we can appoint anyone as a legal guardian, no? Either our relatives or friends or some other NGOs.
No, sir, we can propose anyone. Appointing is done by the collector himself. Okay. When you propose, you got to have solid reasoning for that. Also, the committee is going to come visit and then see the things on ground. You can tell them in advance itself so that they give a special view to particular aspect.
So you will treat us
whether he is suitable or not suitable. Like, you know, another thing which we follow is, if it is a female PWIDD, if it is a female PWIDD, we normally preferably give the legal guardianship to a mother or sister.
Use this.
One more
Hey,
data.
use this.
Regarding the assets and bank deposits we have got, is it really required to be submitted to the collector for getting the legal guardianship? Or I earned by us?
Sir, the point is, totally decision is yours. If the FD is your own Sambadhyam, okay, saving, you are at liberty. You may declare it, you may not declare it. But what you should declare is the inherited property, what you got from your parents, or what your wife got from her parents. Okay, that should be declared. Others you may not declare.
Thank you.
Others you may not declare.
So
But
next
then it
question.
is ideal in case you want to put some property or some FD in the name, joint name of the intellectually challenged child and legal guardian, whoever is this, it will be better.
That is better.
Yeah, next question, please.
Sir, good morning. Shyam Kumar here.
Tell me, Shamkumar. Okay.
Sir, I have one doubt. This is it necessary to appoint a legal co-guardian also along with the legal guardian?
No, not necessary. See, co-guardian is always better. Okay. There are people who doesn't have anyone. Only the mother is alive. Nobody has no siblings. Okay, mother is the guardian, co-guardian, everything.
So, if you appoint a co-guardian, in case the legal guardian goes from the world, then will the co-guardian will automatically become the legal guardian?
No, he will not become automatically a legal guardian. He has to apply again, because at that time there may be other people who may be wanting to become guardian or willing, or there may be some change required. So, but only thing for a short duration. Okay, from the demise of X until that time a new legal guardian is appointed, there may be time gap. So the co-guardian will be able to take on that. That's
that is only for short period.
That is,
Exactly. Only. Tell me.
Yeah, next question.
ഒരു ഡൗട്ട് കൂടി ചോദിക്കട്ടെ. ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻ വരുന്നെങ്കിൽ കോ-ഗാർഡിയൻ മാത്രമാവാമോ?
സോറി, എനിക്കത് ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ട് കിട്ടിയില്ല. റീക്കാവും. ഹലോ, ഒന്ന് റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം.
ഗേൾസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫീമെയിൽ PWDസിന്റെ ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പ് മദറിനാണല്ലോ കൊടുക്കുക. അപ്പോ ആ മദറിന്റെ അപ്ലിക്കേഷനിൽ നമ്മൾ കോ-ഗാർഡിയനായിട്ട് ഫാദർ ആകാമോ?
ചെയ്യാം. നമ്മളൊരു ഫീമെയിൽ PWD ആണെങ്കിൽ ആസ് ഫാർ ആസ് പോസിബിൾ ഒരു ഫീമെയിലിനെ തന്നെ ആയിരിക്കും ഗാർഡിയൻ ആക്കുക. പക്ഷെ ഫീമെയിൽ ഇല്ലാത്ത ഒരവസ്ഥ വരികയാണ് എന്നതിൽ ഫാദറിനെ ആക്കാം, പ്രശ്നമില്ല. അതൊരു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു പ്രാക്ടീസിന് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, ഒരു നിയമമല്ല. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ ഞാനൊരു പ്രാക്ടീസിന് മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ, ഒരു പ്രസിഡൻസ് അത്രേ ഉള്ളൂ.
അല്ല, ഇപ്പൊ ആ സമയത്ത് സാറേ ഈ കോ-ഗാർഡിയൻ ക്യാൻ ഓട്ടോമാറ്റിക്കലി ബിക്കം ദ ഗാർഡിയൻ ബീയിങ് ദ ഫാദർ.
അല്ലല്ലോ, ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, അതായത് ഓട്ടോമാറ്റിക്കലി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു ടെമ്പററി പീരീഡിന് കോ-ഗാർഡിയൻ ക്യാൻ ഫംഗ്ഷൻ. ടെമ്പററി പീരീഡിന് കോ-ഗാർഡിയനെ ഫംഗ്ഷൻ ചെയ്യാനേ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. ഗാർഡിയന് പറ്റാത്ത ഏതെങ്കിലും അവസരം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആള് ഇല്ലാത്ത സമയത്ത് ചെയ്യാം. പക്ഷെ പുതിയ ഗാർഡിയന് വേണ്ടി അപേക്ഷ കൊടുക്കും. ആ കോ-ഗാർഡിയന് തന്നെ അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യാം. എക്സാക്ട്ലി, കോ-ഗാർഡിയന് തന്നെ അപേക്ഷ കൊടുക്കുകയും ചെയ്യാം, അദ്ദേഹം തന്നെ ആവുകയും ചെയ്യാം. ബിക്കോസ് എല്ലാ ഫാമിലിയിലെ സ്റ്റേക്ക് ഹോൾഡേഴ്സിനെ വിളിച്ചിട്ടായിരിക്കുമല്ലോ ഈ തീരുമാനം എടുക്കുക.
One more question, sir. We are planning to shift to Nischinda as far as possible. Once we reach there, we are planning to make Nischinda the local guardian. At that time, what is our role there? Then, what will be our role there?
Local guardian. I tell you, your role will be like a parent itself will continue. Okay. Now, when you make Nischinda is the legal guardian. When we make them the legal guardian, any paper of legal nature will be signed by the Nischinda office bearers.
At that time, no role for the parents.
Okay.
Okay.
No. The Nischinta office bearers only will sign. Whoever may be XYZ, okay, in which you may be marking it to the secretary. So secretary will be in charge for that. On behalf of Nischinta, secretary will sign and then take action. Even if you are present there, probably secretary at his discretion will consider you. Okay. That is word is discretion. Customary item, courtesy item.
Next question, if
Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Now, one more question, sir. If we family trust form, suppose. Our family trust local guardianship how it will work? And I am keeping the baby at Niramaya. Sorry, Nischinta.
At Nischinta. Okay, it can function. Family trust ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ഫാമിലി ട്രസ്റ്റിനെ തന്നെ ഈ കുട്ടിയുടെ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പ് കൊടുക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ ഫാമിലി ട്രസ്റ്റിൽ ആരാണോ ആ സമയത്തെ ഓഫീസ് ബെയറേഴ്സ് അവരായിരിക്കും തീരുമാനം എടുക്കുക ഈ ഇതിനെക്കുറിച്ച് എന്തെങ്കിലും സാമ്പത്തികമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളോ FDയുടെ ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതിലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്തുന്നതിലോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി ഉണ്ട് ഡിസ്പോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നോ സീൽ ചെയ്യുന്നോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ ഈ കുട്ടിക്ക് ഒപ്പിടേണ്ട സമയത്ത് ആ ഫാമിലി ട്രസ്റ്റിന്റെ മാനേജിംഗ് കമ്മിറ്റിയിലുള്ള ഒരാളെ നിയുക്തമാക്കും. On behalf of so and so ഈ കമ്മിറ്റിയിൽ ഇനി ആളിനെ ഒപ്പിടാനായിട്ട് നിയുക്തമാക്കണം. ഓക്കെ, അത് ആ ട്രസ്റ്റ് ആയിരിക്കും ചെയ്യുക, അല്ലാണ്ട് കളക്ടർ അടുത്ത് അതിന് പോകേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. അപ്പൊ ട്രസ്റ്റിൽ തന്നെ ഒരാളിനെ നിയുക്തിയാക്കുക ഈ പേപ്പർ ഒപ്പിടാനായിട്ട് നിങ്ങളെ ആക്കിയിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളത്. അപ്പൊ ചൈൽഡ് വിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂ നിശ്ചിന്ത അവിടെ നിന്നോളം നിശ്ചിന്തയിലേക്ക് വേണ്ടുന്ന ഇന്ററാക്ഷൻസും മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ നടക്കും. അവിടെ എന്തെങ്കിലും പേയ്മെന്റോ മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളോ നോക്കണമെങ്കിൽ ട്രസ്റ്റ് വിൽ ടേക്ക് കെയർ.
ഒരു ചോദ്യമുണ്ട്. സാർ, ഞാൻ റോയി ആണ്
അതിന്റെ ഒരു വിവരങ്ങളും കൊടുത്തപ്പോ
ഹലോ
ആരെങ്കിലും ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഒന്ന് റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യോ? ഹലോ, ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഒന്ന് റിപ്പീറ്റ് ചെയ്യോ? ഹലോ,
ഇല്ല, കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ബ്രേക്കിംഗ്. യുവർ വോയിസ്
വല്ലാണ്ട് ബ്രേക്ക് ചെയ്ത മീനിങ് കിട്ടുന്നില്ല.
ഒരു അസ്മാബി അഷ്റഫ്, ഐ തിങ്ക് ദി വോയിസ് ഈസ് ബ്രേക്കിംഗ്.
അസ്മാബിയാണ് സാറേ. ഞാൻ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പിനും അതുപോലെ നിരാമയ ഇൻഷുറൻസിനും കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. മോനാണ്, ആഷിഖ് ആൾക്കാണ്. അപ്പൊ ഇതുവരെ ഒരു കാര്യം അതിന്റെ അറിഞ്ഞിട്ടില്ല. ഞാനിപ്പോ ഇങ്ങനെ കോവിഡ് ആയിട്ടായിരിക്കും ഇതിനും വരാത്തതെന്ന് വിചാരിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. എന്താണെന്ന് എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല. ഞാൻ പാലക്കാട് ജില്ലയാണ്, മണ്ണാർക്കാട് അലന്നൂർ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നാണ്. ഞാൻ എല്ലാ മീറ്റിംഗും അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരാളാണ്.
കോവിഡ് തുടങ്ങിയതിന് ശേഷം ഇതുവരെ ഓഫീസുകളൊന്നും തുടങ്ങിയിട്ടില്ല. കോഴിക്കോട് മാത്രം അവർ ഓൺലൈനായിട്ട് 1-2 സിറ്റിംഗ്സ് നടത്തി. കോഴിക്കോട് മാത്രമേ നടന്നുള്ളൂ. പാലക്കാട് ഇതുവരെ അത് നടത്തിയിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ അത്യാവശ്യമുള്ള കേസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ അതിന് കളക്ടറെ പോയി കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിന് വേണ്ടുന്ന ഇമ്മീഡിയറ്റ്ലി ആക്ഷൻ എടുക്കും. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അല്പം വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതാണെങ്കിൽ വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും നല്ലത്. പിന്നെ നിരാമയുടെ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്, നിരാമയുടെ നിങ്ങൾ പുതിയ അപേക്ഷ
കൊടുക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ലല്ലോ. ഞാൻ
ഇല്ല, കൊടുക്കേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല. അല്ല, നിരാമയുടെ പറയൂ, അത് പുതുക്കാൻ കൊടുത്താണോ പുതിയ അപേക്ഷ കൊടുത്താണോ?
2 പ്രാവശ്യം കൊടുത്തിട്ട് ഇതുവരെ ഒന്നും വന്നിട്ടില്ല, ഒരു ഇതും വന്നിട്ടില്ല എനിക്ക്. ഞാൻ 2 പ്രാവശ്യമായിട്ട് പാലക്കാട് നമ്മളെ ഒരാളിൽ വെച്ച് തന്നിരുന്നല്ലോ.
ഓക്കെ, ശരി. അപ്പൊ ഇത് പാലക്കാട് കേസാണ്. നേരിട്ട് ടെലിഫോണിൽ വിളിച്ചോളൂ കേട്ടോ. അല്ല, അസ്മാബി 2 കാര്യം എന്നെ ടെലിഫോണിൽ വിളിച്ചോളൂ. അസ്മാബി ഈ 2 കാര്യത്തിൽ എന്നെ പേഴ്സണലി വിളിച്ചോളൂ, ഞാൻ പറയാം കേട്ടോ. റോയ് പറയൂ.
സാറ്, നിരാമയുടെ റീപേയ്മെന്റിന്റെ ഒരു കാര്യം ചോദിക്കാനാണ്. കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
കേൾക്കാം.
അതായത് നമ്മൾ ഇപ്പോ ഈ ഒരു കോവിഡ് പീരീഡിലും മറ്റ് സമയങ്ങളിലൊക്കെ ഈ പിള്ളേർക്ക് ഇത് ലൈഫ് ലോങ് കഴിക്കുന്ന മെഡിസിനുകളുണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഡോക്ടറെ വിസിറ്റ് ഒരു വൺസിന് 3 months അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ 6 months ചിലപ്പോൾ അതിലും കഴിയാറുണ്ട്. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയുള്ള സമയത്ത് നമുക്ക് അവിടെ പ്രിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ എങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു? ഈ മെഡിസിൻ തന്നെ കണ്ടിന്യൂ ചെയ്യാനാണ് നമ്മൾ വിളിച്ചു പറയുമ്പോഴൊക്കെ പറയുന്നത്. അപ്പോ നമ്മൾ അത് എങ്ങനെയാ അത് ക്ലെയിം ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് പറ്റും. അതായത് മനസ്സിലായി. പല ആൾക്കാരും ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ശ്രീതയിലൊക്കെ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്ത് പോകുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്കൊക്കെ അവർ എഴുതുക കണ്ടിന്യൂ ഫോർ 1 year എന്നൊക്കെ എഴുതി കൊടുക്കും എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ ഇപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് ലോക്കൽ ഡോക്ടേഴ്സ് ആണെന്ന രീതിയിൽ അവർക്ക് നിങ്ങളൊരു മെയിൽ അയച്ചിട്ട് അവിടുന്ന് ഒരു മെയിൽ എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അതിനെ നമുക്ക് പ്രിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ ആയിട്ട് കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും, കോവിഡ് കണ്ടീഷൻ കണക്കാക്കിയിട്ട്. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? അപ്പൊ ടെലിഫോണിൽ നമ്മൾ വെർബൽ എടുക്കുന്നത് വേറെ ഒരു മെയിൽ അയച്ചിട്ട് ആ മെയിലിനോട് അവർക്ക് റിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറയുക കണ്ടിന്യൂ ദ മെഡിസിൻ. അപ്പൊ അതിനകത്ത് ഡേറ്റും മറ്റു കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ വന്നോളൂ.
ശരി, അത് വെച്ച് നമ്മൾ ഈ ലോക്കൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും നമ്മുടെ മെഡിക്കൽ സ്റ്റോറിൽ നിന്ന് മെഡിസിൻ വാങ്ങിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുന്നതിന് ബില്ല്
മതി. അതെ, ഒറിജിനൽ ബില്ല് വെക്കണം, മെഡിസിൻസ് അതിനനുസരിച്ച് വെക്കണം. കാരണം നമ്മുടെ പ്രിസ്ക്രിപ്ഷൻ അനുസരിച്ചിരിക്കണം ബില്ലിന് വേണം ക്ലെയിം ചെയ്യാൻ. അധികം ഡിലേ ചെയ്യാൻ പാടില്ല, വിത്തിൻ 15 days ക്ലെയിം ചെയ്യാം ബില്ല് കിട്ടി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്.
സാർ, ഞാൻ ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പിന് അപ്ലൈ ചെയ്തിട്ട് നിയർലി 1 year ആയി. ഇതുവരെ റിപ്ലൈ ഒന്നും വന്നിട്ടില്ല. അപ്ലൈ കോവിഡ് തുടങ്ങിയതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും സാർ?
അതെ അതെ അതെ, എനിക്കറിയാം. ഷാമിന്റെ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ എന്റെ കയ്യിലാണ് വന്നത്. ഞാനത് പുതിയ ആളിനെ ഹാൻഡ് ഓവർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ പ്രോബ്ലം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവർക്ക് വെളിയിലോട്ട് ഇറങ്ങാനായിട്ട് സാധിച്ചിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
കഴിഞ്ഞ ആഴ്ച എനിക്കൊരു മെസ്സേജ് വന്നു, ദേവാശ്രയം ചാരിറ്റബിൾ സർവീസസ് എന്ന്. അപ്പോ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് തരാൻ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഞാൻ വാട്സാപ്പ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. മിസ്റ്റർ ഭാസ്കർ ടുണ്ടി.
അതെ അതെ അതെ,
വാട്സാപ്പ് ചെയ്ത് കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. അവർ ആക്ഷൻ എടുക്കുമോ സാർ?
അവർ ആക്ഷൻ എടുക്കും. അവരാണ് ആക്ഷൻ എടുക്കണ്ടേ. ഞാൻ ഹാൻഡ് ഓവർ ചെയ്ത അവർക്കാണ്.
അതെ അല്ലേ?
അതെ, അവർ വന്നു. ഈ കോവിഡ് വന്നതിന് ശേഷമാണ് ഈ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായെന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
ഇനിയിപ്പോ അവര് ഒന്നൊന്നായിട്ട് എടുക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങുമോ സാർ?
അതെ അതെ, അവിടെ അടുത്ത് പെൻഡിങ് ഇപ്പൊ ഒരു 200 to 300 ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. എന്റെ അടുത്ത് തന്നെ ഞാൻ ഒരു 60 അങ്ങോട്ട് ഹാൻഡ് ഓവർ ചെയ്തു.
കാരണം എന്താ അറിയോ, ഫെബ്രുവരി മാർച്ചിൽ ഞാൻ നിശ്ചിത ട്രാൻസ്ഫർ അങ്ങോട്ട് മാറിയാല് അപ്പൊ അവർക്ക് ഞാൻ ഈ അഡ്രസ്സാ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കണം, നമ്മുടെ ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ വീട്ടിലെ.
അല്ലല്ല, ടെലിഫോൺ നമ്പർ ഉള്ളിടത്തോളം രജിസ്റ്റർ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്.
Okay, sir.
Can I ask?
Please, Sada.
I was actually trying to make a trust deed for Srinivas, but I landed into legal trouble in the sense that my daughter is staying abroad. So as per the National Trust Act, they said that my daughter cannot be nominated as a leading trustee. So I have to necessarily go for somebody who is living inside the country only.
The there are two things in this. See, one is the family trust. Okay. Now the family trust is totally your discretion.
Okay.
Fine. Whether your daughter is abroad, it is immaterial. Nobody is going to question. You take the decision. Okay.
Okay.
Now, only problem is if you want to make your daughter legal guardian of your son.
Okay.
And the daughter who is staying abroad.
Yeah.
That may not be possible.
Okay. So in that case, can we nominate Nischinta Society as the trustee for Srinivas when we move in there?
Not trustee, Nischinta Society as legal guardian.
As legal guardian only. Okay.
Yeah, but exactly.
How payment of say any expenses or anything that is incurred for Srinivas after the parents die, how it will be controlled?
Sir, you have asked a very valid and right question. Let all parents know about it. Okay. Yeah. Now, even if a legal guardian is appointed, okay, probably father, mother is there, we are supposed to maintain an account.
Correct.
If a sibling is there, I know about a case, okay, near Cherpulasheri. Now, what has happened is the mother was a teacher and mother passed away. The family pension comes to the daughter who is intellectually challenged. Okay, the family pension comes to her. Now, the brother is looking after. Now, whatever money the brother is spending for her, he is supposed to maintain an account book. Every month, how much money came, how much spent for clothing, how much for food, how much for medicine. This has to be entered. Okay. And the collector may call for this document accounts at any time. And if it is not submitted, there will be a penal deduction also. So in case in Nischinta, anybody is the legal guardian, it is the responsibility of Nischinta to maintain a particular account book as per the National Trust Act. Okay, you asked this question, so I brought it out.
Yeah, but then my daughter can then my daughter can continue to send money to Nischinta for taking care of
fine, because there will be a separate account maintained for this individual, so whether it is society or whether it is no, it is not a donation or anything. It is only family giving. That is not a problem. It will not come under FCRA. It is not a donation.
Okay.
It's a sibling giving the share.
So I had to abandon that trust. He said, "Okay, we'll take care of it when we."
Yeah. That's up to you, sir. That's up to you.
Okay.
So I have one question.
Okay.
I have one question. I want to know with your experience whether it is best to keep property for the child or corpus sum for the child. Which is the best thing?
See, in my opinion, corpus fund will be ideal, knowing the nature of requirement of finance for our child, maybe sudden medical treatment or any other requirement coming up. So instead of keeping some landed property somewhere, it will be a fixed income for the individual, and whatever can be saved from that corpus will be better. I mean, this is my personal opinion from my experience.
Thank you, sir.
One more question, sir.
Yes.
Regarding even this property sharing, as she was saying, should it be equal, or if there be any problem by if it's not equal, something like that?
Madam, it should be equal.
That is what I just wanted to know if it is.
No, we should not compromise. In my opinion, there should be a little extra
can
for
be
the
more.
child.
I'm not saying can be more for our children. Will there be any problem? See, for our children, we need more. Okay. So if we divide it more for the special needs and then give, if there will be any problem, issues of the matter? That's what I'm asking.
I come across people of both types. Some people want to try. It's or your wishful thinking.
No. Will there be any problem if we do like that?
No, not at all.
It is our discretion only, right?
Exactly, yes. It should not be less. See, firstly, it should not be less. This act is there to take care of the interest of the person with intellectual disability. Nobody should harm them. Nobody should take away what is due to them.
That is what I asked.
That is ensuring their exactly. If somebody is, madam, the point, let me tell you once again for understanding. If X is buying a property in the name of my son, who is intellectually challenged, National Trust doesn't have any objection. You buy, no problem. But if a property belonging to my son, who is a man, if somebody wants to sell it off, no. You want to go to the collector, legal guardianship, local level committee. Okay. So giving is no problem. Taking away should not happen. Right?
Hopefully my other daughter will not ask for, but I just wanted to understand whether we can have an extra. So there will not be any problem later on with this, right? That's why.
There will be no problem.
Thank you.
Yes. No problem. Okay, welcome. Somebody else? Some question in the background? Hello?
Yeah.
വേറെ ആരോ ചോദിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നോ? ഹലോ?
There was some noise.
Rajesh sir, അവരോ ചോദ്യം ഉണ്ടെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നു അല്ലേ?
ഇതുവരെ any more questions, please? ചോദ്യം ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ I think we can ask.
Sir, എനിക്കൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ, അത് സാർ പറയാത്തൊരു കാര്യമാണ്. ആശ്വാസകിരണം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഒരു പദ്ധതി ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, അതെങ്ങനെയാണ്, അത് ഏത് ട്രസ്റ്റിന്റെ കീഴിലാണ് വരുന്നത്, അതെങ്ങനെയായിട്ട് ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂഷൻ എല്ലാവർക്കും കിട്ടുന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ, അത് ചോദിക്കാനായിരുന്നു.
ആരാണ്, എവിടുന്നാണ്, രണ്ടു കാര്യം പറയുമോ?
സാറിന്റെ ഞാൻ സംഗീത എറണാകുളത്ത് നിന്നാണ്.
എന്താ സംഗീത ഇങ്ങനൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുന്നേ? പരിവാറൊക്കെ വളരെ ആക്റ്റീവായിട്ട് അവിടെ എറണാകുളത്ത് പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നല്ലേ? പിന്നെ നിങ്ങളൊരു പരിവാറിന്റെ മെമ്പറും ആയിരുന്നില്ലേ? ശരി, ഓക്കെ. അല്ല ഞാന് അല്ല എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല ഈ ഗ്രൂപ്പില് ആശ്വാസകിരണിന്റെ ആയിട്ട് ഇൻവോൾവ് വരുന്ന അധികം ആളുകളില്ല. കാരണം കേരളത്തിലുള്ള ആൾക്കാർക്ക് മാത്രമേ അതിന്റെ ആപ്ലിക്കബിലിറ്റി ഉള്ളൂ. കേരളത്തിന് വെളിയിലുള്ളവർക്ക് അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ആശ്വാസകിരണം ഇല്ല. ഓക്കെ, ഒന്നത്. രണ്ട്, എത്രയായി സമയമുണ്ടോ സർ? 1:48 ആയി. രാജീവ് സാർ, ഞാൻ പറയണോ?
Please go ahead.
Sorry sir, ഞാൻ just ഒരു ചോദ്യം ഇട്ടേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഓക്കേ, അത് ഇവിടെ വേണ്ടെങ്കിൽ വേണ്ട.
അല്ല അതുകൊണ്ടാണല്ലോ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചത് അങ്ങനെ എന്താണ് ആരാണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചത്. സർ, ഈ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഞാൻ പേഴ്സണലി ആൻസർ ചെയ്തോളാം.
Personally, yeah, correct.
സംഗീത എന്നെ വിളിച്ചോളൂ കേട്ടോ.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other question?
Major, this is Chandrasekhar from Chennai.
Yeah.
Tell me. How are you? How are you?
I'm fine, Major. Yeah.
Long time not met.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Just I want to ask your opinion about your involvement in Parivar, and all. My simple question is, why our kids are not being considered for general insurance, medical insurance, which is being denied for all our kids, whereas it's available for all other people in this universe? And what are we doing on that? In fact, I have tried my level best. I have argued with MPs, MLAs, wherever I met, whenever I meet. I just want to know the feedback from your side, Major.
See, basically, other insurance companies are actually looking forward for monetary benefits. They are all business people. Okay. Whereas in our case, it is a purely welfare measure. Okay. Now, what happens is even private insurance agents will weigh how much premium we get, how much we want to make payment. Okay. So when they see, for such people, they are prone to fall sick. When they are prone to fall sick, there will be more claims and more missing. So it will become almost a financial burden on to the particular insurance agencies. That's why they don't want to get into an area where they are sure to lose. Okay, so that is one of the reasons. But second thing is, see, there are two insurance policies which has been brought out by the government of India. That is, one is the Niramaya. Even the Niramaya also, we are paying only a very nominal premium. The rest is paid by the government themselves. Okay. Now, second is the Swavilamban program, which was come in 2016 itself. April 2016 it was declared. So that was for all types of disabled people. Up to about 5 lakh was the insurance amount. So that was another 5 people in a family are covered. Whereas Nirama, it is only the disabled person alone and also intellectually challenged alone. Whereas in the Swavilamban, the family of a disabled or intellectually challenged is involved, where the parents and then the married husband or the children. 5 people are covered in that scheme. So there is a scheme already existing, and when we are going to take up a case, the private insurance companies may not be very keen to take up this kind of insurance.
What I feel is this Niramaya is only 1 lakh, and now just now also one of the parents was asking about what will happen, and you were also answering that if some medical exigency happens after some time, the entire corpus, whatever we develop, may sometimes be used or utilized for this medical related issues. Can we not have some policy level interventions at the higher levels? We should muster all our resources and we should try to influence the policy makers, because all these insurance companies, as I understand, are based on actuarial studies.
Exactly.
So, can they not have some actuarial studies on such kids? I don't think there will be a big sample, but even then actuarial studies are always possible. And I think many of the parents may be ready to pay a higher premium, much higher premium than whatever these companies expect, because that's our, I feel that instead of developing a corpus, it's better for us to invest in insurance and get it later, because if 1,000 kids are contributing, all 1,000 may not get it, or rather need it rather. So, I think there should be some high-level, policy-level interventions for such things, for which I think Parivar, Niram, your Nischinta, all these organizations should chip in and put pressure on the policy makers and our politicians, etc. That's my humble view. Thank you, Major.
Yeah,
in fact, we have made an initiative. Nischinta itself had a discussion on this subject. A representative had come to Khila Trishur. It was in 2018. Okay, sometime in April we had a meeting there. So there was a presentation exclusively by one of the insurance. Venkat must be very clear about it. Okay, so they given a presentation. Not much of members have shown much interest in that one, because it was only a filler as far as the time gap is concerned.
Yeah,
okay.
Sir.
But
Sir,
this is an area.
Sir, just to add here, 2 days back, one star insurance person contacted me and he says they have come up with a, I'm just interacting with him, and if it seems to be, if there is some stuff in what he's saying, I will schedule one session by him just to know what it is for us.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, for intellectually and developmentally challenged people, they say they have come up with a policy. I have no clarity at this point in time. So discussing if it is worth, I think we will definitely, if it if it makes sense. We will have a session from him so that we will get to know what it is and what are the implications.
Because other insurance policies are also there by the Prime Minister's, some programs are there. The state government also, RSBY and all. So they can all become, but provided they are in the low income group. That is a limitation. That is a limitation.
Yeah, that will be. So shall we wind up now? Sir, it is.
Yeah, I think I all my input.
Yeah, so thank you very much for attending the
session. Namaskaram.
Hello, yeah, please.
Hello, namaskaram. 1 second. Sir, I am Sikandar.
Hello.
Kozhikode Sikandar.
Sikandar, പറയൂ. വളരെ സന്തോഷം. വന്നതിൽ സന്തോഷം, കണ്ടതിൽ സന്തോഷം. പറയൂ.
ഞാൻ ഇതില് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. വളരെ നന്നായിട്ട് സാർ ക്ലാസ് എടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. എല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയുന്ന രൂപത്തിൽ തന്നെ സാർ സംസാരിച്ചു. അത് പറയാണ്ടിരിക്കാതിരിക്കാൻ പറ്റും. എനിക്ക് വലിയ സംശയങ്ങളൊന്നും ഇല്ലല്ലോ. ഓക്കെ, കുഴപ്പമൊന്നുമില്ല സാർ. നല്ല രീതിയിൽ സംസാരിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് സാർ. കുറച്ച് ആൾക്കാർക്കുള്ള സംശയങ്ങൾ വളരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് തീർത്തു കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ കോഗാർഡിയൻ സാർ, നമ്മള് കോഗാർഡിയൻ നിശ്ചയിക്കല്ലേ സാധാരണ ഇതില്. ഞാൻ വരാൻ കാരണം എന്താ വെച്ചാല് സാർ, ഈ ഹോം വിസിറ്റ് ഇപ്പം നിർബന്ധമല്ല നാഷണൽ ട്രസ്റ്റ് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഹോം വിസിറ്റ് നിർബന്ധമല്ല. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഞാൻ ഓൺലൈൻ
തന്നെ. താങ്ക് യു. ഈ ഇൻപുട്ട് വളരെ നല്ലത്. അതെ, ഇത് ലേറ്റസ്റ്റ് ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ആണ് ഇപ്പൊ കഴിഞ്ഞ ഒരു വർഷമായിട്ട് അല്ലേ?
2019. ഓക്കെ, ശുക്ലാജി ഇവിടെ വന്ന സമയത്ത് നിങ്ങൾ
അതെ, അന്ന് ടോണ്ടത്ത് വന്ന സമയത്ത് ഞാൻ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അന്ന് മൂപ്പരാൾ പറഞ്ഞു വേണ്ടാന്ന്.
അത് വേണ്ടാന്ന് തീർത്ത് അതിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ഒപ്പം പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ അങ്ങോട്ട് പോയത്. മറ്റേ എല്ലാ പഞ്ചായത്തിലും നേരിട്ട് പോയിട്ട് നമ്മള് 14ഓളം പഞ്ചായത്തിൽ പോയി. കോവിഡ് വന്നതിനെ കൊണ്ടൊന്നും അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മള് 17,000 അപ്പൊ അത് കവർ ചെയ്യണമെന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇവിടെ ഇരുന്നിട്ട് കോൾക്കോട് നിൽക്കാറില്ല, എല്ലാരും കവർ ചെയ്യും. ഇപ്പൊ 2000 അബോവ് ആയി കോഴിക്കോട് ജില്ല വന്നു. ഇനിയും മുന്നോട്ട് പോയിരുന്നു. അപ്പം നമ്മള് ഈ ഒരു ഹോം വിസിറ്റ് വേണ്ടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ സ്ഥിതിക്ക് നമ്മളെ ഓൺലൈനിൽ കൂടെ അപേക്ഷ കൊടുക്കാവുന്നതാണ്. നല്ല സ്കീമാണ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ ഇവരെ ഈ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടുകളൊക്കെ തീർത്തു കൊടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കേസാണ്. അതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ ഓൺലൈന് നിരാമയം കോൾഫോർ ചെയ്തു കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം. ഓൺലൈൻ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ ഓൺലൈനിൽ അങ്ങനെ ആ രീതി. അപ്പൊ അതൊന്നും സൂചിപ്പിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടിയത്. അതൊക്കെ സിമ്പിൾ ആണ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക. എത്രയോ ആൾക്കാർ ഇപ്പം നേരത്തെ ആരോന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു, സാറിന്റെ നാട്ടിൽ തന്നെ പാലക്കാട് തന്നെ നേരിട്ട് ഫോം വിളിച്ച് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് വന്നിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ വളരെയധികം ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. കാരണം ഇത് ഇപ്പം ബാങ്കുകാർ വളരെയധികം സ്ട്രിക്റ്റ് ആക്കി നിയമം തന്നെ പാലിച്ചു പോകണം. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മളെ കാലശേഷമുള്ള ഈ കുട്ടി പാരന്റ്സിന്റെ കാലശേഷം അത് മിസ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യും. നിർബന്ധമാക്കണം. അത് ബാങ്കായാലും എന്തായാലും സ്വത്തായാലും. അപ്പൊ അത് കളക്ടർ നേരിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി. ധൈര്യമായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞില്ലെങ്കിൽ എത്രയും പെട്ടെന്ന് ചെയ്തു കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള അത് ഇവര് സമീപിച്ചാൽ ഒരു കൊല്ലം ആവശ്യമില്ല, കൊടുക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന കുഴപ്പമൊന്നുമില്ലാത്ത കേസാണ്. സാറിന്റെ ഈ ഒരു റേഡിയോയിലൊക്കെ കേട്ടത്.
ഓക്കെ, ശരി ശരി സിക്കന്ദറെ. മറ്റുള്ളവരുടെ ശ്രദ്ധയ്ക്ക് ഹലോ, നമ്മളോടിപ്പോ സംസാരിച്ചത് മിസ്റ്റർ സിക്കന്ദർ ആണ്. സിക്കന്ദർ കോഴിക്കോടിലെ ലോക്കൽ ലെവൽ കമ്പനിയുടെ കൺവീനർ ആണ്. മാത്രമല്ല സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ലെവലിലെ ഒരു കോർഡിനേഷൻ നടത്തേണ്ട SNACയുടെ നേരെ താഴെ അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ലീഗൽ സെല്ലിന്റെ ഇൻചാർജാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം കോഴിക്കോട് ജില്ലയിലാണ് മാക്സിമം ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് കൊടുത്തത്. ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് മാത്രമല്ല, മറ്റ് വെൽഫെയർ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസും പേരൻസിന് വേണ്ടുന്ന പരിവാറിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനം ഒക്കെ വളരെ സജീവമായിട്ട് കൊണ്ടുപോകുന്ന ഒരു മഹത് വ്യക്തിയാണ് ശ്രീ സിക്കന്ദർ. അദ്ദേഹം ഈ ടോക്കിൽ വന്നത് വളരെ സന്തോഷം. നമുക്ക് ഈ പറയുന്ന ലാസ്റ്റ് മൊമെന്റിലെ ഹോം വിസിറ്റ് ഇല്ലാതെ തന്നെ നമുക്ക് ലീഗൽ ഗാർഡിയൻഷിപ്പ് കിട്ടാമെന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളും കൂടെ പറഞ്ഞു എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ കണ്ടീഷനിൽ അങ്ങനെയും കൂടെ നമുക്ക് എത്രയും അത്യാവശ്യമുള്ള കേസിനെ ഹാൻഡിൽ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് സാധിക്കും. സിക്കന്ദറിന് വളരെ താങ്ക്സ് വന്നതിലും ഇൻപുട്ട് തന്നതിലും. പിന്നെ മറ്റെല്ലാ മെമ്പേഴ്സും ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഓർമ്മയിരിക്കട്ടെ. എന്തെങ്കിലും ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ഡൗട്ട്സ് ഉണ്ടെന്നതിൽ ഇനിയും യു ക്യാൻ കോൾ മീ ഓൺ മൈ ടെലിഫോൺ ആൻഡ് ഐ എം ഓൾവേസ് റെഡി റെസ്പെക്ട് യുവർ ടൈമിംഗ്. ഐ വിൽ അറ്റൻഡ് യു ആൻഡ് ക്ലിയർ യുവർ ഡൗട്ട്സ്. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
So, thank you very much, Major Sir, for a very, very informative and detailed session. A lot of questions that people had, which is very natural, and you clarified them very clearly without any doubt left. I think if there are more questions coming with members, I think as Major Sir has suggested, we will have sessions later. So as this being a very important topic for us, and we had an excellent session. So thank you very much for all. Thank you very much, Major Sir, for this presentation, and also everyone who has participated within Nischinta and also from outside Nischinta. So thank you very much once again. So വളരെ നന്ദി. നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Raju, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.